What's going on, college basketball fans? It's Tori, and welcome to my video about 5 high seeds that you should be cautious about. Now, a lot of this is just based off of gut feeling. A lot of this is just based off of what I've seen from the few games that I've watched these teams. But I've been pretty good at predicting teams to get upset in past years, so we're gonna just jump straight into this. The first top seed that I think you should be cautious about is North Carolina, and I don't really hear anybody talking about the chance that they get upset. A lot of analysis talk about the super fast pace in which they play in and how teams are going to struggle to adjust to that. But on the other hand, if the team that's facing them is able to really control the pace and really slow down the game and make North Carolina play a half-court offense by getting back on defense fast enough to stop their transition, then I could see North Carolina struggling. Kobe White has improved a ton this season, but this is still a guy who's somewhat inconsistent and he's prone to disappearing at key times. And then Cam Johnson, even though he's 6'9", he does shoot a lot of jumpers, a lot of mid-range, and if his shot is off, then you could definitely see North Carolina struggle. As far as number 1 seeds, I think the North Carolina Tar Heels are the least likely to make the Final Four, and they haven't really gotten upset in years past. I think it's finally their turn to get upset in the second round or the Sweet 16. They'll have a team in Utah State who I think will beat Washington. That'll be a big threat that really knows how to play. They're a very smart team, and they play a more slow brand of basketball, and they're really able to slow it down and control the pace. They showed it against Nevada, who I think plays pretty fast, and they showed what they can do to a team if they're able to just take them out of their comfort zone when it's transition and fast-paced basketball. But then if North Carolina advances past there, they'll have a team like Auburn, who is definitely going to be a very hard matchup for them because Auburn can play their fast brand of basketball, and then it will basically just come down to who hits more shots. The second high seed that I think you should be cautious about is Michigan, and we've seen a pattern in recent years where defensive first teams have gotten upset because guys have made tough shots and they weren't able to hit shots themselves. The biggest team like this was Virginia losing to UMBC last season. I think Michigan could be this team. They struggled a little bit down the stretch. They were projected as a 1 seed and then they fell to the 2 line, but also more importantly, one of their best players in Charles Matthews is a little bit banged up. He's been dealing with injuries, and then their best offensive player is a freshman. And anytime you got a freshman as your leading scorer for a team that really needs him to come through because they don't have a plethora of guys that can pick up his slack, that always causes me to worry, because if the freshman is a little bit off because he's playing under the bright lights or he just has a bad shooting game or whatever, then that team is prone to an upset. I think Michigan could possibly lose in the first round to Montana. That's a 2 versus 15 seed that I think has a chance of being an upset, but if not, that second round against either Nevada or Florida is going to be very tough. That's 2 very well coached teams. Nevada has experience beating a 2 seed last year when they were a 7 seed, and Florida is a team that's playing better lately and have lost a lot of close games that if they were able to take care of, they might have been a 5 or 6 seed. The third high seed that you should be most cautious about, and I'm more confident in being cautious about this team than any other team, is LSU. On one hand, they have a lot of talent. Naz Reid is one of the most underrated big men in the country. Tremont Waters is a very good point guard. Javonte Smart off the bench, who should be playing. There was all that drama with him and the offer that he got to go to LSU that was not legal by NCAA standards, and that offer is the reason why LSU is without their head coach in Will Wade, who will not be coaching them in this tournament. All that drama is the main reason why I'm cautious about them. Without their head coach, they're going to be listening to a guy who's been an assistant all season, who's now going to have to lead them into very tough matchups in the NCAA tournament. I just don't like that setup, especially for a team that relies on some inexperienced players. Even though they have older players, they don't have players with NCAA tournament experience. So this is definitely a team that I'm cautious about in that regard. They also have a very tough first round matchup in my opinion. Yale should have been higher than a 14 seed, and Ivy League schools always play a smart brand of basketball and they always play teams tough in the NCAA tournament. I think Yale definitely has a legitimate chance at upsetting LSU, and that's the 114 over 3 seed that I picked in my bracket. The fourth high seed that you should be cautious about is Purdue. I thought they were seeded a little too high. I thought they should have been a 4 or maybe even a 5 seed, and I really don't like their road at all. In the second round, you get either a St. Mary's team that just beat Gonzaga or you get Villanova. I think they rely a little too much on Carson Edwards to get them buckets. He averages 23 points per game. The next closest guy is Ryan Klein, who averages 12 points per game, but he was never a big player before this season. This is his senior season. His junior season, he only had 4 points per game, so he really stepped up this season. But if that's your number 2 guy, a guy that hasn't been known to really produce at all during his college basketball career, that gives me cause for concern. If there's a good defender that's able to do a good job on Carson Edwards, then this team is ripe for an upset. They do have 7'3" center Matt Haarms, but if he gets in foul trouble, which he's known to get into, then Purdue doesn't really have much size on the interior. Other than Haarms, they do not have a guy that plays over 10 minutes per game that's over 6'9", so that's a very small team otherwise if that dude gets into foul trouble. So I just don't really like the makeup of this team. I don't really like the setup, so I think Purdue definitely has a chance to get upset in this year's NCAA tournament. And last but certainly not least, we have Kansas State, and this is a product of them missing Dean Wade, who they played well with last year but is still a crucial part of their team, and them also having a very tough road to the Sweet 16. Now I know they're a 4 seed, but they're the least likely 4 seed in my opinion to make it out of the first round because they got UC Irvine, who's a very good team, a very good 13 seed, a team that can really score the ball, and a team that'll, in my opinion, look evenly matched to Kansas State. And then even if they're able to beat UC Irvine, you'll have Wisconsin, who played really well in the Big 12, or you'll have Oregon, who's playing great basketball and is a really good defensive team, going up against a really good defensive team without your main scorer and Dean Wade. That's not a recipe for success, and I think Kansas State has a very tough road, and that injury to Wade is definitely going to hurt them. That's a team that I wouldn't feel comfortable advancing to even the Sweet 16. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Let me know if I'm sleeping on any of these teams I listed. Let me know if you think I missed a team, and with that, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys later. Peace out.